Steve Harvey walked in this room right now, what would you do or what would you say to Steve Harvey?
I'm not sure what I'll do because I'm hyper. I'm very
Oh, my
upset.
God.
I'm not very.
is.
I
It
snatch
hurts.
him by his neck and bring him to the floor.
Oh, no.
I go up against the bully. I'm that guy. I'm that kind of guy. But I would definitely give him a mouthful if he walked in this room right now. I wish he was here. Then it'll be all good. Because you're a bitch nigga, Steve Harvey. Woo. And if one day I'm coming to your radio station, I'll be there, baby.
Right there.
I'm coming.
He coming.
I can't find where you live because I can't get the information. But I know where you work, and I'll be there.
Welcome to It's Lights, Camera, Action. Today, this episode is very special. It's about injustice involving Cleveland Brown. We got his dad here today. Introduce yourself, Mr. Brown.
Cleveland Earl Brown Sr.
So we're going to get right to it. Your son, Cleveland Brown. This all happened in Arlington, right?
Yes.
As I did my research, the news people broadcast it as the Arlington Gangsters. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
How is Steve Harvey involved with this whole case?
Steve Harvey's, the victim's dad, James Thomas, is Steve Harvey's barber and stage director.
And what year did this happen?
2011.
This is a homicide case, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so this happened in 2011. How old were your son?
He was 19 at the time.
He was 19. What's his street name?
CJB.
CJB. Is he involved? Was he involved with gang activity?
No.
The Arlington Gangsters. How did that title even fit your son?
They came about by his friend, Jordan McHenry, called him Young Gunner. He's the one that testified that my son was a gang member, and there was an investigator that came in from Houston called Flood and Associates that employed him to say that he was a gang member. In the first trial with my son, the co-defendant's trial, he said neither one is a gang member.
I mean, your son's friend was Young Gunner.
Yes.
He testified against your son.
Yes.
So the day that this all happened, let's go back.
Okay.
Let's go back. What actually happened?
Well, starting the night, they had a concert at Dream World.
Who was in concert?
JT, which is the victim. Young Gunner was the promoter.
Okay.
And there was a couple other individuals. Young Slab, Lil Ronnie. These are particular gang rappers.
How did Steve Harvey get involved? How did your son end up at 19 years old getting, 50 years?
50 years. 5-year gang affiliation to run concurrently.
Okay, so what they're saying, he was a Crip member, a Blood member?
No, they say it was lynch mob.
Okay, out of Arlington?
Yes.
Okay, who actually got murdered?
Jeremy Thomas, JT.
JT got murdered?
Yes. My son was responsible for getting people in, off the parking lot, out the cars, so the police won't harass them, of course. Everybody left the club. They went to JT's house behind 7-Eleven on Arkansas and Green Oaks. He lived in a gated community back there. JT and Trey was communicating by text messages, saying, "You're going to pay me my money, nigga. If you don't pay my money, they're going to find you dead on the slab." This is the co-defendant, 16-year-old. JT was 18 or 19 years old during that. JT told Trey Washington at one point, "Meet me down by my house at 7-Eleven in Arkansas. I'm going to smash your ass. Once I smash you, it's going to be all over." He said, "Okay." So then Trey Washington told my son and another guy to take him to 7-Eleven to fight JT.
How was your son even involved with the murder?
Well, when they went to the scene, my son knew JT, met him back in 2006, never had any issues with JT. They was friends. So he went to the car. JT was in a 1990 Honda Accord, putting on his jump-off clothes, according to testimony. So he had his passenger side door open. JT was on the passenger side, lacing up his tennis shoes. My son went up and said, "Hey, man, what's going on?" He said, "What's up?" He said, "You and Trey would be the only one that fighting, right?" JT said, "Yeah, man, I'm gonna smash that little nigga." And then JT said, "Bitch, nigga, get out of my face," and pulled my son into the vehicle. He had a black hoodie on, pulled him into the vehicle. At that time, he grabbed my son, was beating him all in his face. Jasmine Boston, which was his girlfriend that drove to the scene, punched him in the eye. None of this was shown in court record. None of this was shown at the trial.
Okay.
I seen the mug shots of his eyes with bloodshot and all the bruises in his face.
But JT was his boy, but he pulled him in the car and started
Yes,
dealing him?
because he tried to talk to Jasmine, and Jasmine had told JT that CJB tried to talk to her.
So he was there to fight another dude and
Yes.
ended up fighting on your son.
Yes, no, that's what happened. When he pulled him into the car, my son said he tried to get out of his hoodie, so he let his hoodie go over his head and backed out of his hoodie. The hoodie was found on the back floorboard of the victim's vehicle. The hoodie with lipstick, eyeshadow, and a couple other items. He said he pulled the hoodie. When they pulled the hoodie off of him, he come out of the hoodie. JT got out the car and started fighting him. Then Chris Triggs was riding shotgun of JT on the passenger side. He gets out of the car, per testimony. He gets out of the car and starts fighting my son as well. JT went around him and grabbed his neck. JT's 6'1", 185 pounds. My son, 5'9" and a half. 5'9" and a half, 145 pounds at that time. He grabbed him and held him. Chris Triggs was fighting him in his face. My son said, "Dad, I couldn't take it no more." He was squeezing me. I thought I was fainting.
Mm-hmm.
He dropped out of JT. He hit Chris Triggs, pushed him back, dropped out of JT's arm, and that's where he pulled a weapon. When he pulled a weapon, they all three grabbed a weapon. Per testimony, Chris Triggs, which was riding shotgun of JT, said my cousin reached around him and grabbed his arm as well. So he had to be behind him to reach around him. So he was behind him, and all three, my son had the gun, all three of them, the other two guys had his arm, trying to take it away. And then when the gun come down, pow, one time in the left shoulder. Shot him in the left shoulder. They was 1 minute from the fire department and police department. No one never called 911. They put the body in the car, in the back seat, and drove it to USMD on I-20 in Matlock. That was not emergency hospital at the time. It was extended care hospital. So then they took the body from there and took it to MCA, which is on Matlock and Mayfield area. The body stayed there for 4 hours, and he bled out, and he passed.
The prosecutor is saying that CJ killed JT.
Yes.
Okay. JT is the son of Steve Harvey's stage manager?
Stage manager and barber.
Stage manager and what?
Barber.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's his name?
His name is James Thomas.
Okay, James Thomas is Steve Harvey's stage manager.
Yes.
Okay. So, do you feel like that Steve Harvey influence got your son 50 years?
I have no doubt. I have no doubt. When he wrote it in the newspaper clipping, the Saturday after the incident, he said we would ask for a long sentence. He says 3 guys pulled a guy out of a car in southwest Arlington.
Who said that?
Steve Harvey on his radio station in Kansas City, because I got friends in Kansas City as well as a sister-in-law, and she called me and told me that he was in Kansas City. He have a radio station in Kansas City as well. And he said we will seek a long sentence for this situation. This is gang affiliated, and we would seek a long sentence.
Do you feel that Steve Harvey paid for the attorney?
I have no doubt. I have no doubt at all. I'm convinced because first of all, they had the trials 11 months apart. They did not have the trial together with the co-defendant and my son, the defendant. They had them 11 months apart. And not only that, the jury foreman shook hands with my son during the voir dire on that Monday. During the voir dire, when they picked the jury selection, he came to my son and shook his hand. And I asked my son, who do you know, where you know that guy from? He said, man, Daddy, I don't know him. I said, you got to know him. He come up and shook your hand. This is the jury foreman, Byron Barnes.
Okay. So did your son kill? Did your son CJ kill JT?
It was accidental.
So your son murdered JT accidentally.
Yes.
How do you know it was accidental?
He told me it was accidentally, and they shot him one left in the left shoulder. That is not a gang hit. I'm from Kansas City, where a lot of gang members. Left shoulder hit, and no one else shot. One shot, and that's it. It could not have been a death hit. No way.
Who is the witness?
We had Trey Washington, the co-defendant, and
That's Trey Washington is John Gunner.
no, Trey Washington is the co-defendant, the 16-year-old that the Super Bowl bet.
Okay.
was in reference
That's the
to.
one who's supposed to fight in the first
Yes, yes.
When your son shot JT, who seen your son shoot him?
Well, Jasmine Boston and Chris Triggs, they said it in testimony.
They witnessed your son shooting.
Well, they said in the testimony, they said it was a scuffle going on. They really didn't see him shoot him.
But did anybody see your son shoot JT?
Not in testimony.
Not in testimony.
They was tussling over the gun, and then the gun went off.
What's the 16-year-old name?
Trey Washington, Trey Edward Washington.
Was Trey there?
Yes.
Did Trey see your son pull the trigger?
No. Because Trey was still in the vehicle. Trey never got out until when they started scuffling. Like I said, they started scuffling. Trey got out. Jasmine Boston got out, and Chris Trigg was already out. Young Slab, little Ronnie, called him Young Slab.
Can anybody say that they seen your son pull the trigger?
I'm not sure.
But in testimony,
In,
nobody said it.
in testimony, they said it was a scuffle. They don't know when the trigger was pulled, but it was pulled after they was tussling over the gun, and when the gun came down. It was a lot of conflict.
It sounded like self-defense.
It was definitely self-defense. Two guys jumping on you, one choking you, one beating you in your face.
Who
It's
jumped on your
self-defense.
son?
JT, the victim, the first one that grabbed my son.
JT jumped on your
He
son.
grabbed my son and pulled him into the vehicle. He said, "Bitch, get out of my face," and pulled him into the vehicle. Jasmine Boston was driving. She was also hitting him, stuck him in the eye with her fingernail.
The woman.
Yeah, Jasmine Boston.
So
JT.
Jasmine and JT jumped on your son.
Initially.
So then your son pulled out a gun,
No, backed out of the hoodie.
backed out the hood,
Then-
as he's been beaten.
Yes, he'd been beat. And Chris Triggs, that was riding shotgun of JT, come out of the car. and
Who had
started
the
fighting
gun?
him as well. My son,
Your son had a gun on him.
already,
So what kind of gun was it?
45.
So as JT and Jasmine is beating your son, and when he come out of the hoodie, at what point did he pull the gun out?
When Chris Trigg got involved with this and that, when he saw the
This
fight.
is another man.
Yeah, Chris Trigg was a cousin of JT.
So
Okay.
essentially 3 people hitting on him at this point. Essentially.
Well, initially, Jasmine Boston stayed in the car. Then when Trey finally gets out of the car, she gets out of the car, per testimony, and started hitting him with some item or something. Trey, hitting Trey.
Okay. So now you have JT, Jasmine, and Chris
Yes,
fighting your son.
yes.
At this point, he pulled out the gun to protect himself.
Yes. Judge and my defense attorney, my son's defense attorney, threw each other high five on a bond reduction hearing. After they left the courtroom, the defense attorney, Brian Wayne Savant, and Ruben Gonzalez, judge, threw each other a high five after a bond reduction.
So you're basically saying that the defense attorney and the judge was in cahoots together to railroad your son along with Steve Harvey.
Yes, yes,
So Steve Harvey, the judge, the defense attorney, JT, the victim,
yes,
Jasmine, and Chris all are against your son, and this whole situation was manipulated, and it's the reason why your son got 50 years.
yes. I have no doubt. Yes. Steve Harvey, you're a scum of the earth. You railroaded my son. You paid for these judges and prosecutors to strike his case down on the appeals, and you know you did. And I need justice from your low-life ass. I need justice now. You railroaded my son, and that's what I want from you, Steve Harvey. Judge Ruben Gonzalez, you railroaded my son. You allowed for the court procedures to go as they were to railroad my son. You gave him 50 years to a 19-year-old with 5 years gang affiliation. And you're a scum of the earth, and you need to pay for your bad doings.
Your son's defense attorney, what's his name?
Brian Savant.
Okay, address Brian Savant.
Brian Savant, you was my son's defense attorney. You allowed for my son to be railroaded. You allowed for Steve Harvey to pay. You allowed for information to be suppressed on the victim side and allowed for things to be shown against my son to think that, make people think that he's a gang member. You know for a fact he wasn't a gang member. You even told me in closed session that he was not a gang member. My son needs another trial, and I want another trial that's fair with a different attorney.
Okay, so if you had to describe your son's defense attorney in 3 words, what would it be?
Low life, money hungry, and just a sucker outright.
Okay. Ooh. Jasmine. Okay, what's her name?
Jasmine Boston. Jasmine Boston, you know you lied in the courtroom. You could not even speak properly. You could not even show how you really feel because you was lying. You were coerced by the prosecutor. You know damn well that my son did not kill JT out of malice. He did not do it intentionally, and you know these things. You was right there. And you perpetuated the situation by going to tell JT that CJ tried to talk to you in the parking lot.
So you feel like that Jasmine really is responsible for JT's murder?
In a nutshell, if it hadn't been for Jasmine Boston, JT had no reason.
So if it hadn't been for Jasmine, JT would still be alive.
He would still be alive and still friends with my son like he have always been.
Chris
Trigg, you little low-life little nigga, you caused it all. You said in court record that if JT did not fight Trey Washington, you would. And you did it. You know you did it. And you also double-teamed my son like a little old nigga, bitch nigga.
Okay. JT,
I know you dead. They said rest in peace. I don't know if you're in peace. But you know for a fact when you left your home and told your mama that you was going to handle some things, and your mother told you to stay at home, and you went anyway, and you ordered your own death, bruh. You told the guy where to come to, how to do it, and when they got there, you jumped on the man that you should not have been jumping on. So to me, you deserve where you're at because you should not have done to my son what y'all did to him, jumping on him and then accusing him of murder. Cleveland Earl Brown Jr., that's my son. That's my son.
What's his street name?
CJB.
Go.
Son, you hang in there. Dad is out here on the warpad, and I would not stop, I would not waver, and I would not give in. I'm prepared to go against all the massive. Steve Harvey, Brian Savant, the judge, and all these bastards. I'm coming head first, baby, so look out.
What about the news media who label this case the Arlington Gangsters?
The news media lied. You lied about the first incident. You lied about how it all went down. And you lied about the gang affiliation, along with all of the police department, all the chief of police, and Kyrus Branch of the gang task force unit. You lied to me, sir.
Give us the year it happened and say what you have to say to that year, that chief of police of that year.
March 2011, whatever chief was in position at that time, you lied. You allowed your officers to lie on the stand. And you guys did this all orchestrated and articulated with money that drove you as the chief of police of Arlington.
And you saying that all the money was funded by Steve Harvey?
Steve Harvey is the money man without a doubt. I know for a fact. The way everything went down, the way they have mishandled the appeal process, they have dropped the appeal process. You said that it was not signed properly. Y'all kicked it back. Every appeal that we've had, you guys have lost paperwork, and said you did not get the appeals on time.
Mr. Steve Harvey, this show is not rehearsed. What's being said is how this man feels. This show did not write or rehearse this story. This man feels that you railroaded his son with your power and your influence of your money, Mr. Steve Harvey. I'm here to report the news. I'm not biased to anybody's situation, but I do feel that there's a lot of things that need to be settled. I don't know if you are right, Mr. Steve Harvey, or if you're wrong, Mr. Steve Harvey. I'm just here to report the news. I am a journalist. I'm not a gangster, and I'm not a judge. But Mr. Brown, I want you to end this story and tell Steve Harvey one more time, if you can plead with Steve Harvey, plead with Steve Harvey.
Steve Harvey, I need you to take your foot off of my son's neck. Give him the opportunity to live. He have had no infractions, been in jail for over 12 years that you orchestrated. You have not checked his prison record. He's a model prisoner. The wardens are telling me, and the guards are telling me, why is he still here? When the guards ask you why my boy is still there, they say he's mannerable. Yes, sir. No, sir. No, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You know that my son was not that guy, but you did this to my son, and you will pay either on earth or in hell, nigga.
Hey, I want to send a prayer out to everybody that's involved. I want to say rest in peace to JT, because I don't wish death on nobody.
Right on.
And I want to say that I don't wish prison on anybody else either.
Absolutely
So I want, what's your son's name again?
CJB.
I want CJB to be released. I want him to come home. I wish freedom on CJB. I wish peace on his father. I wish God bring some type of resolution to his father so he can sleep well at night, because I have a sense that he haven't had a comfortable night's sleep since his son been arrested. So, Steve Harvey, Judge Ruben Gonzalez,
Yes.
the defense attorney, Jasmine Thomas, Chris Trigg. I want all you guys to get together and just talk to God about what really happened, and maybe find it in your hearts to write the appeals court, and let's bring this brother home. If y'all really in your heart know that this brother is innocent, let's get him home.